Hope everybody's doing well. Just starting off with the recap from our game Friday night. Anytime you lose a game that is that hard fought, goes down to the wire, it's obviously going to be a heartbreaking loss, emotional loss. However, I was very encouraged and very proud of the way our guys prepared and fought and improved from how we played 2 weeks prior before our bye against UNC to how we played that night. Obviously, there was a lot of things that we did well. There was a lot of plays that were made, a lot of tough plays that were made. It was a really good football game and one we just didn't finish. And Miami's quarterback, I thought, played an elite game. We wanted to make him have to throw it to beat us, and he was able to do that. I thought he threw the deep ball as good as I've ever seen him throw it in that game, and so he deserves credit for that. Obviously, we need to be better at defending that. But it was a heck of a football game. I thought we started fast. Our first drive offensively was a great opening drive, really creative play call to get Bailey on the throwback from Thayer. The offensive lineman blocked it really well. I thought we struggled in the first quarter defensively, gave up 21 points, and then shut them out in the second quarter. Did a nice job adjusting there, and we're able to build a 10-point lead going into the finish of the game, and had our chances to win. I thought the kickoff return by Bam was huge to kind of put the game in our advantage, and a great momentum play on special teams. Chris Dunn, drilling a 53-yard field goal after a penalty that I thought should have gone our way to give us a first down right there. But showed a lot on his part because that's not easy. So great for him to make his second 50-plus field goal of the year. And then it just comes down to 4 or 5 plays, in the game. There were plays that had nothing to do with Miami, routine plays that we could have made that would have put the game away, and we weren't able to do that. There's a lot of positives, like I said, and there's negatives that our team will learn from, our staff will learn from, and together we'll continue to fight to be better than we were the week before. Offensively, just speaking positively first, we scored on 6 of our first 7 drives of the game. We were efficient on third down, except for the last 2 third downs of the fourth quarter, which ended up being costly. I thought Bailey played well, gave us a chance to win, threw the ball into some tight windows. With the exception of 2 throws in the game, I thought he was really, really good. I know he'd love to have the one back that he missed to Emeka, and obviously the last one was a little off target. We had 0 drops in the game at receiver, tight end, and running back, and we were 100% scoring in the red zone. The negatives, we weren't able to put the game away. We had the ball with 6 minutes and 15 seconds and got a first down, and then 3 straight plays we were off the field, and would love to be able to consume more clock than that and drive the ball and get a score if possible. And then obviously the interception at the end. On defense, we were played hard up front. I thought our D-line improved. We were physical at the line of scrimmage. I thought we shed blocks better. I thought Daniel Joseph and Aleem McNeil played much better. Negatively, we just didn't make enough plays that helped us in the game. They were going to score points. We're playing with some injured guys, some backups for injured guys in the secondary. We knew they were going to complete some passes and score some points, but we weren't able to get any takeaways, which helped us just gain a possession. And there were 2 critical moments in the game where, they were able to make plays where we had a guy in position and didn't. And we had 4 penalties, whether they're questionable or not, that were called and hurt us on drives. So things we got to improve. I thought our special teams were really good in some areas. The field goal by Chris that I mentioned, the kickoff return, our punter, Trent Gill, and the coverage by Tyler Baker-Williams, I thought he was outstanding. Obviously hate that we lost a possession on the ricocheted kick that had bounced off of one of our guys. We knew they were going to squib it, and our guy was trying to avoid it and obviously didn't do a good job of that. But, I think there's a lot of positives from that game that we can carry forward. There's opportunities to get better, and I'm encouraged by how we responded from our last loss, and know that we'll get the same type of resolve from these young guys. And we've got 4 games left and an opportunity to really have a great close to our season. excited about what Bailey did and the confidence that'll come from that. From an injury standpoint, we hope to have Drake Thomas and Tanner Engel back for this game, but until we get on the field, I can't confirm that, but it is trending in the right direction. And so now we get ready for a very athletic Florida State team and quarterback that's very dynamic, has really changed their offense. And Travis, I know he was injured in the first half, but he was on the sideline, seemed to be pretty normal just looking at him, during the game because I watched it Saturday. But like you always see with Florida State, great receivers, Terry and Wilson, tailback, two guys that they rotate in that are different from each other. The tight end's a good pass catcher. They've had some injuries on the offensive line. But the quarterback's what's changed them. And obviously we'll have to see who they put out there. I'm not sure we'll know until game day on that. When you look at the other side of the ball, another defensive line that has two great defensive ends, big, thick, long, number 11, Robinson, 6'5", 260, and 13, Kane Doe, 6'7", 265, and Cooper inside at 331. So a very formidable defensive line that can run. Asante Samuel at corners made a lot of plays for him in the secondary, and really like watching their will linebacker, number 1, Emmett Rice, very active, he's got good speed, gets to the football. So a good football team, an athletic football team, a team that obviously has a new staff and has played really well. Blocked 2 punts, blocked 2 field goals this year, beat North Carolina in a huge upset. So we know they're capable of playing lights out. And for us, it's just another opportunity to improve and work hard in practice and try to be better than we were the week before. Questions?
Gibby, you want to get us started?
Yeah, sure, Dave. Obviously, Carter Finley Stadium, when it's full, it's just an electric place. The game's close on Friday night. It would have been electric. That little extra juice that you guys could have gotten, not to make an excuse, but just how important would that have been in a close game on Friday night if you would have had that juice that normally emanates from Carter Finley?
Our home field advantage in a night game is as good as anybody's in the country. So, yeah, I think it could have helped our energy on defense. Probably would have helped hurt them offensively with cadence, and they changed a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage in that game. That would have been challenging for them to do. So there's a lot of things, that as a home team we're losing out on with the COVID-19 part of this, but both teams have the same thing. So it's just part of the deal.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Aaron Beard.
Hey, Dave, you talked about Bailey, confidence, the way he played. It struck me watching him. There was a lot of confidence in a lot of the throws. When you took a deeper dive into the film, what else did you see, and kind of what is maybe the most repeatable element of how he prepared for this game to carry that over going forward?
Yeah. You all right, man?
Yeah, elbow surgery about a week ago. I'm almost out of this thing.
Gotcha. I think just being the guy getting the reps, Aaron, the game plan was built for him, which it was in the weight game as well. And I think when Tim can do that, knowing who the trigger guy is, it's different as opposed to where you're bringing a guy in off the bench and hoping he gets it as good as the first guy did, So it played to his strengths. I think Bailey did a nice job preparing and looking at the different things that could happen. And I just thought he was quick, with his reactions. He didn't sit there and wait. He made quick decisions. He gave his receivers a chance to throw. He used his feet a couple times to extend drives on some scrambles, which he can do. And I think just having the success and seeing his guys make those plays for him is just going to lead to more success for him.
Thank you.
You bet.
Jonas.
Hey, Coach, hope all is well. Thank you for taking the time and speaking with us. You mentioned Travis. Obviously, you guys are probably going to prepare as if he's going to play. Right. So when you look at the film of him, is he kind of like in that same mold as De'Aaron King? How do you prepare for facing like another dual threat guy like Travis?
Yeah, built different. You can't really say he's like De'Aaron King as a passer yet, just because you haven't seen enough film of him having to throw like that. But boy, is he quick and can he run? I mean, he's electric running the football. I mean, he's like Lamar Jackson that way, how fast he can accelerate. Some of the run he had on Pitt the other day, the 88-yard touchdown. I mean, he was out the gate, and he's scary with his feet. And so does a lot for him on his own, similar to De'Aaron King, where he can extend plays that aren't there. Just not enough film to tell you, what kind of passer he is. Not that he can't, but, there's not a lot of body of work there to say that he can do the things De'Aaron King does with the throwing part of it.
And I guess my follow-up is, you kind of alluded to it. How much film do you kind of usually need on a guy before you kind of think you got him figured out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it helps to have 4 or 5 games, just so you can see a lot of different situations. Because as you know, some games are a lot different. Maybe they're behind and they're just having to throw it all over the place, or they got the lead and they're running it more. There may not be a 2-minute drill and a deal. They may not have a backed up drive or a red zone drive, or maybe he didn't throw a pick. You want to see how he responds. So, it takes a little bit of time, and you want to see different defenses. Some defenses are blitzing more than others, or playing different coverages than you play. So the more games you can have, the better.
Appreciate it, Coach.
You bet.
Mike Topper.
Good afternoon, Coach. I wanted to ask you about something you brought up, which was the penalties. And in watching your games, certainly, and some of the triangle games throughout the year, there's always a couple questionable penalties throughout the game. But coming into Miami, you guys have been flagged just over 8 penalties a game. As you move forward, how do you kind of address that with your team, I guess, to be penalized less? I mean, I know that's something you go after or talk about frequently throughout the week.
Well, some of them are discipline penalties that we can prevent, like Dylan McMahon jumped off sides when we were on offense at guard. And that's something that, as an offensive lineman, you got to know the cadence. That should never happen, But then there's penalties that are judgment calls by officials. And I can talk as much as I want about that. But like, I thought CJ Clark's play on the quarterback was a good play. I wouldn't have coached him to do anything different right there. And so those plays sometimes get called, sometimes they don't, Mike, and there's not a lot I can do. Peyton Wilson's play on the sideline, he can't do that. We can't hit a quarterback going out of bounds. So those are conversations we're going to have. So it's just really a matter of what type of penalty it is, Sometimes there's pass interference penalties where a guy doesn't play the ball and you can coach him better. Sometimes the guy played it perfectly and they called it, and there's nothing you can do about that. So I just think some of the things, there's human error in officiating. We understand that they're human. As coaches, we got to do everything we can to play within the rules and still be aggressive when we play the game. And, sometimes games get called really tight and everything gets flagged. Sometimes they let everything go and they don't call anything. You know what I mean? So it's really challenging that way when it comes to coaching, because you want to give the guys the opportunity to play a certain way and know that the refs are going to be agreeable with it.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Andrew.
Dave, you mentioned the receivers not having any drops on Friday. Can you just speak to how strong of play that you guys have gotten from that group this season and the improvements that they've made from last year?
Yeah, I'm really proud of that group. Coach McDonald takes a lot of pride in having a group of guys that's dependable, that works hard. And I think from Emeka to Devin Carter to Thayer Thomas to Porter Rooks, you got a group of guys that have really increased. I know Porter wasn't here, but improved their production from a year ago and really improved counter production. We had a lot of drop passes a year ago. And when you add Kerry Angeline into that, there's another guy that's very dependable, that gets a lot of balls. So they're giving quarterbacks targets. They're making tough plays for them. And all that does is allow your quarterback to have confidence to give you a chance. And those guys are making those plays. They're contact catches. And as you've seen here in the past, we've had receivers like Jacoby Myers and Kelvin Harmon that can make those tough catches in games and make big plays for you. And you need that in order to extend drives.
Corey Smith.
Coach, wanted to ask you about Devin Leary. I know obviously he was injured several weeks ago, but is there any update on his status? I know initially it was given 4 to 8 weeks. I didn't know where he stood at this point.
Yeah, nothing's changed. He's doing really well. Everything's on time, but it's not going to speed up. It's 4 to 8 weeks, and we're still just, letting him heal. So he's doing a great job. He's around at practice. He's encouraging his teammates, but, we're not going to see him until postseason play, if he could play again then.
And wanted to go back to that fourth quarter. Obviously, Miami ends up with 213 yards compared to just 6 for NC State. Did you feel like there was a difference in the offense that maybe took their foot off the pedal at all, or was it just a matter of not making the plays necessary to get there?
No, I think they just outplayed us. The same plays that we were getting yardage on in the first half and in the third quarter, we're reaching guys, we're knocking guys off the ball, and now they're penetrating and disrupting, so you got to give them credit. We didn't make the same type of blocks, same type of line of scrimmage movement that we saw in the first half, that we saw in the third quarter when we were efficient running the football. So yeah, you can go back and second guess what you were doing, but Tim was calling plays that worked well for him earlier in the game where we scored on 6 of the 7 possessions. So, you got to give them credit for beating the blocks that they weren't beating earlier in the game. We thought we could wear them down there and we didn't.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Jonas.
Coach, you talk a lot about complementary football. This year on special teams, you guys have blocked 2 punts. Bam had a kickoff return, and Chris had the long field goal. Moving forward, the last 4 games of the year, how important is it for that unit to keep playing at that level or even higher?
Yeah, I'm really proud of the performance. I think Todd Goebel deserves a lot of credit too. He does a great job schematically and just getting the guys excited about being on those special teams and blocking punts, being motivated to kickoff return. We went from like second to last in the league to second in the league in kickoff return in one play. So, it's amazing what happens when you put Bam back there, so we're excited that Bam has kind of emerged in that role. We've been searching a little bit. We had Ricky back there. We had Jordan Houston back there. Bam goes back there and changes, the momentum of a game. So obviously we're going to leave him back there and let him work.
And he told us after the game that he probably should have taken a knee because he caught it so deep. Does he have that green light because he had that decision based on his judgment to stay or go?
It depends on where the ball's kicked. Anything in the middle of the field, as long as they can catch it going forward, we're pretty good with those guys bringing that out of the end zone. Obviously, we wouldn't want to bring it out of the back of the end zone, but if they can catch it within, the front of where the number or your lettering would be in the end zone, we're going to bring it out if they're going forward. We don't like taking things out of the end zone if you're running sideways and things like that to catch the football.
James Henderson.
Hey, Dave, you moved Tyler Baker-Williams to safety this game. How do you evaluate his play? And also, is that something that could maybe give you some depth even when you get Tanner back?
Yeah. Well, obviously we didn't tackle well in the UNC game, and we felt like we needed to get somebody at free safety that was just bigger, that can handle the run support things that happen at that position. And Josh Pierre-Louis had done some good things at nickel for us this season. We felt like moving Tyler to free would help us in the run defense, and it did. I thought Tyler, he played 90 snaps in that game at free safety. He gave up 1 touchdown on a wheel route. And other than that, I thought he played a really good game. Made a lot of plays, led us in tackles, didn't miss any tackles. And so there was a lot of improvement at that position. So having versatility there, to answer your question, does help. When we get Tanner back, does Tanner go to free and Tyler go back to nickel? There's a lot of things we need to play better, in the back end. And obviously getting Tanner back, one of our defensive captains, would help us play better. But until then, we need to improve fundamentally and get back to doing some of the things, in coverage at corner. Because I thought until this last 2 games, I thought our corners have done a really good job of not giving up big plays, so we got to get back to the fundamentals that we were playing with there.
Thanks, Dave.
Justin Williams.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. Kerry Angeline had another efficient performance on Friday night, catching all 4 of his targets and found the end zone again. Was that something that was discussed over the bye week, getting him more involved in the pass game? And can you just speak to his performance on the field this year?
Kerry's doing a great job. I think he's a big target. He's probably has the best hands on our football team. And, it's hard to cover a guy that's 6'7". You can have someone on him, and his advantage, obviously, is not only his height, but his wingspan, his catch radius is huge. So we do look for him at times. We're always looking for ways to get him the ball. We actually called a few other plays for him. He just couldn't get out on some things that we were hoping he would. So Kerry's going to be a part of the game plan. And I know the quarterbacks look at him as a safety net, because of how big he is. and he's a mismatch issue for guys, particularly in the red zone. You got Devin and Emeka on the outside there, or Porter on the inside, and then Carey, whether we put him on the number 3 or number 2 position, working on a linebacker a lot of times, that's good for us.
Thank you.
JB Ricks.
Hey, Coach Doeren, thanks for taking out the time. How easy is it for you to preach to your team not to focus in on what Florida State's record is and just the type of athletes they bring in and year out, regardless of where their status is within the conference right now? And what are the best examples that you can use to preach that message this week for your team?
Well, I think our guys know we play Florida State every year. We know what kind of talent they have. They beat us last year. They just beat UNC. So we have great respect for their program. Obviously, this is a weird year. So you're seeing a lot of ups and downs out of teams because of the ins and outs of players with lineup changes and your lack of ability to maintain chemistry at certain position groups. And so I don't know if you can look at any team's record and give it a whole lot of credit. You don't know what's going to change week in and week out in the lineup, which changes the team immensely at times. So, we know we're going to play a fast, athletic team that has a really good defensive line. Terry's one of the best receivers in the conference when he's healthy. So we will not overlook these guys one bit. We got to play as well as we can play to win.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
I don't see any other hands raised. Does anybody else have a question?
All right. You guys be safe. Thanks for the time.